When I was a small boy, I knew that I wanted to be, quote unquote, a movie star. I liked the over the top characters Jack Nicholson, John Candy, Pee Wee Herman, Harrison Ford, Eddie Murphy, all like the big over the top comedians and big over the top character actors, John Goodman, you know. And I didn't know how to do it. So when I narrowed it down in my teens, when I was about 15, it was pro wrestling and sketch comedy. That's when I discovered pro wrestling at WWF and ECW and Saturday Night Live and Mad TV and Living Color and all these great sketch comedy shows. And I said that's what I want to do. I want to be pro. I want to be in pro wrestling and I want to be in sketch comedy. And by the time my senior year of high school came around, I was already off to the races. I had performed in front of a paying audience when I was 17, and I already knew what I wanted to do. I could have dropped out of high school right there in the fall of my senior year, and nothing would have been different. And I did for the next couple of years. I went on independent wrestling tours. I, performed sketch comedy, and I had a hook, and my hook was that I was a counterculture glassblower. I made, smoking pipes and glass dildos and things in a shop up in Vermont for a year. So when I was 23 years old in this picture, you can see I'm wearing a glass pinky ring just to kind of pay homage to my glass blowing history and, just kind of like, okay, here I am. I'm an experienced and trained improv and sketch comedian. I'm an experienced and proven pro wrestling personality, and I'm a glass blower. And here I am. Give me my own sketch comedy show, the JP Ward Show, which you can Google, by the way. The pilots are online. Just Google the JP Ward Show. You'll find it. And at 23 years old, I was like, here I am. And crickets. Crickets, crickets, crickets. And I would like to say that the next 20 years it got better, or that I became, a rich and famous pro wrestling personality or a sketch comedian, but it never happened. And for whatever reason, my fault, a lot of it was my fault. A lot of it was just the powers that be. A lot of it was bad timing on my part. A lot of it was lack of financing on my part. I'm only in my 40s, so maybe I could go a different route. Obviously, I've aged out of the pro wrestling and sketch comedy circuit as far as doing anything big like in WWE or Saturday Night Live. That went bye years ago. But I always liked the idea of movie stardom. I don't feel that there are a lot of over the top movie stars anymore. And I think it's kept that way so they don't have to pay them over the top movie star wages. Everybody's just kind of at a level, like there's no real big superstars anymore. There's no real big contracts anymore compared to what they were in the 80s and 90s. People are still making money, don't get me wrong. But compared to what Jack Nicholson got for Batman in 1989, nobody's making a goddamn thing, in my opinion. And I feel like the internet really deflated the Hollywood movie star because the whole, Hollywood in your pocket, philosophy of Apple and all these bizarre computer companies that say, oh, anybody can be a star. Well, no, not anybody can be a star. Some people have worked their asses off to be a star, and some people have worked their asses off to be a big time movie star. And now, people would rather just watch a minute video on their phone than have like a night out and go to the movies and be entertained by a legit movie star, an over the top personality who can do things visually that most people can't do. And that's why he gets paid the big money. He or she gets paid the big money. And this picture represents for me that at the age of 22 and 23, around there, like I had all this aura around me, I was JP Ward, the wrestling personality and the sketch comedian and the glassblower, Upright Citizens Brigade, graduate, and mentored and trained by former WWF champion Bob Backlund and former ECW champion Jason Knight, and trained by the best glassblowers on the East Coast, and Vermont Playback Theater, and just all this stuff that just kind of like swarmed into this stew in 2004 when this picture was taken. And it was like, I look at this picture and I'm just like, fuck, man. Even if I'm like swept up into, the whirlwind of Hollywood any day now in my 40s, which I'm not expecting because I'm not positioned to do that. But I just feel like, why wouldn't you take me back then? Why wouldn't you take me back when I was in my early 20s, when I actually gave a shit and I had heart and like I cared about the shit? You know what I mean? Literally cared about it and cared about how I presented myself, and like I cared about my talent and what I could offer, and I was behaving myself, and like just really cared about it. And the powers that be just, and the wind and just how it was just bullshit. And the next 20 years was just a cyclone of crap that just didn't take me anywhere. And now I'm in exile, and womp womp. But maybe someday I'll get back out to Hollywood with a boatload of money in my pocket and be able to do it the right way. And leave wrestling and sketch comedy behind me, which I have, and be able to run through one of the conservatories out there for a year or two, and then put myself out there as a 40-something character actor, which is the dream, which is the new dream, and I think that'd be awesome, especially if I had money to back me up, and I could kind of pick and choose what I wanted to do, because that's the name of the game. That's what Arnold Schwarzenegger says all the time. So you got to take advice from someone like that and just really internalize it, because he's the greatest of all time. So, why wouldn't you take his advice? But my goal right now is to get some money in my pocket and to go out to Hollywood, run a gauntlet at a conservatory, and then put myself out there as a legit, over 40 character actor and over the top movie star, and really like bring that style back, the old school style, and bring it back, at least offer it to Hollywood, offer to bring it back to Hollywood, I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, that's the goal, brothers.